All right. Hi, it's Jamie Miller, attorney Jamie Miller from Miller and Miller, and I hope everybody is doing okay. We're going to do another segment on student loans. Really pleased to have Christine Arkovich, our partner and expert in dealing with student loans and bankruptcies and just helping people deal with issues that they're having with student loans. Christy, tell me a little bit. Give me a little bit of your background. Tell me kind of what you've done in student loans and that type of thing.
Sure. Well, I'm a little bit unusual in that I actually used to work for the other side. So I had originally graduated from law school in 1992 and was doing business litigation and such. And one of the clients that came into our office was Sally Mae. And so I ended up doing the work for them. And as it turns out, when I left that firm didn't have any interest in student loans, so I kept them. So I developed that into representing most of the other servicers on the other side. ECMC, they're a common guarantor, Sally Mae, USA Funds, Terry, and so forth. And so my history is really working for the other side, late 90s, early 2000s, and then I switched sides. Well, I realized that what's going on is not fair. It's not what I grew up with. It's not something that existed when I graduated school. It's become impossible to pay, and I'm trying to do my part to help fix that.
That's awesome. And people will sometimes, since we've been doing these Facebook Live and since we started this partnership, they'll ask me, who's Christy? You have this lawyer that lives in Tampa and you're in Milwaukee. And, you know, one of our mission at Miller Miller has always been to really help people with their student loans. And hey, Nicole, thanks for listening in today. And it's the landscape on student loans is always changing. And so to be able to find somebody that we can work with that can help our clients is something I've been looking for a long time. And I'm so pleased that to have you on our team and in our arsenal to really help people get the answers that they have about dealing with these pesky student loans. And what I wanted to talk to you today is what's the impact of the CARES Act on student loans, and where's that going right now?
Sure. Well, the CARES Act was passed in March, and it was extended by executive order until the end of December. And it's really just for certain federal loans, for direct loans. It basically allowed for no interest and forbearance during that entire time. So a lot of folks, you know, they tried to pay extra if they could, if they still had a job. It was a good opportunity to pay down the loans. For those who had a pay cut or they didn't have a job, it was a good opportunity for them not to get further in the hole because interest wasn't accruing. But it doesn't do anything for private loans. And so it is very good. I do think that President Biden or Congress will probably extend it, but I don't know for sure. Right now, payments are due currently in January. If they do extend, it would probably be a limited extension, 3 to 6 months. So one of the things that we're suggesting is folks who have the FELP federal loans, maybe they want to consolidate and take advantage of any continued interest waiver. There's cautionary things that people should know, though. You don't want to consolidate every loan together. Sometimes it hurts. So it's good to see an advocate like myself or someone to understand why Parent Plus loans shouldn't be combined, why you don't want to restart any income-driven plan forgiveness that you've already accrued, and just different things like that. The government has made the repayment of student loans way more complicated than it should be. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to pay a debt back. How hard is it? But it is not transparent, and they have made it complicated. I hope that one day it may be more simple than it is today.
Yeah, and if people have questions about student loans, they would like to talk to me or would like to have a conversation with Christy, give us a call at 414-875-3816, and we can get that arranged. I'm getting a lot of questions from people that are unemployed because of COVID, and you know they're concerned about their student loans, and they're asking, you know, I can potentially go back to work in January, but I'm concerned about how going back to work and having that income start up again is going to impact my student loans. So what type of advice do you have for our clients that are dealing with that decision?
Well, we're using this COVID time as sort of a silver lining, because a lot of our clients can use this time to finally say goodbye to their student loans. For instance, if someone has been laid off, they're not working, or anything, a pay cut, and maybe they qualify for a Chapter 7 now. Your firm can file the Chapter 7, and we can potentially discharge and fully get rid of a private student loan. Maybe you have to settle it for something low on the dollar kind of thing with no interest or 1% interest, but the vast majority are actually dischargeable. And so we get rid of those private student loans. If we wait until that person gets back to work, it's going to be very similar to the foreclosure days. Here in Florida, we had a ton of foreclosures, a big foreclosure crisis. And there was lots of folks that, unfortunately, when they were jobless, they had to run up the credit cards. And they always felt, when I get back to work, I'll be able to pay this debt down. But you know how the interest is on credit cards. They could never make a dent on that. So then they would come and see me to file a bankruptcy potentially. Well, the problem with that is that now they made $80,000. So as you know, have to be in a Chapter 13, a repayment of part of that debt, where they could have gotten rid of it in full had they filed when they weren't working. So we're using this time where people have reduced earnings to our advantage to get rid of private student loan debt. And with federal loans, we have folks that are in their 50s and 60s. They're reluctant to return to work because of the health care. I mean, we have vaccines coming around the corner, but it's probably not until summer before their widespread use at best. And so with the numbers right now, if I was in that age group like I am, I hope everyone can work at home. And I know not everyone can, and not everyone's as fortunate as we are. And a lot of everyone doesn't share that same opinion. They want to be out there. But in any event, we have found that if someone feels uncomfortable and they have underlying health conditions, and their employer, maybe doesn't want them back either, who knows, but the situation is that if they can't return to what they used to do full time, I might be able to get rid of that federal student loan. And that person may stay out of work for, 2-3 years or so. But that's something that we're stressing right now. We have not lost one of those cases, one of those disability type cases. And so, it's something good. So we have something for federal loans, something for private loans. It doesn't apply to everyone, but people are genuinely shocked when they come to our office and they learn, I had no idea you could do this. It's a common thing we hear every day.
Right. So what if someone is underemployed? They're making $10, $12 an hour, and they have $50,000 in federal student loans. What can you do to help them? We have this myth that there's just nothing you can do with student loans, but what if they're just underemployed at this time?
Oh, sure. Well, for federal loans, there's always the income-driven plans. There's a number of different ones, and so it's important that you get in the right one for the best benefits. Don't count on a servicer to put you into the correct program. A lot of times I'll see someone in an income-driven plan, they're not in the right one. They don't even know how they got there, what it means. They don't know anything, and I'm not surprised. It's sort of hidden from them. But the income-driven plans are a way to keep your payment consistent with your income, either 10 or 15% of basically your net income, called discretionary earnings. It's usually pretty affordable. There's forgiveness at the end of that. And so the income-driven plans are much better than forbearance. One of the problems when a person or borrower reaches out to a servicer is they always seem to push forbearance. At least in the past years, they've done it a lot. They're starting to get a little better now. But forbearance to them keeps the balance on the account. And the interest capitalizes, it continues to accrue, the balance gets larger and larger. That doesn't end the debt, that grows the debt. That's called forbearance. It's a short-term band-aid. It's good for some cases, but most always underemployed. If you're not making enough to pay down the student loans plus maintain a reasonable standard of living, then you should really be on an income-driven plan and target forgiveness. Know how long it's going to take, what your estimated payments are going to be, and that's the way out of these loans, for federal loans, for that situation.
You had a consultation with one of our clients last week, and he's a pretty smart guy, and he had a couple different conversations on his own with his servicer, and he really felt like he had the information that he needed to make the best decision. But after the conversation with you, it really enlightened him and allowed him to make sure that he was in the right plan, because if you're not in the right plan, it can cost you thousands of dollars. And you may get in a plan that, you know, you're paying not much, but unless you're in the right plan, it can be devastating to your financial future. And he was
Right.
great with that help.
And we had some tips for him on how to reduce the payment also while he's in the income-driven plan. And those tips are never shared by the servicers. So he was happy to learn of that.
Right, right. And then, go
And this is
ahead.
this is an attorney on the other side, you know, that was benefited by knowing what options are.
Right, right. And on the private student loan front, I heard you mention that if someone files a bankruptcy, that they potentially can discharge their private student loans. Tell me a little bit about how that applies to perhaps people that have filed bankruptcies in the past and have private student loans.
That's actually a big target of ours. We really like to reopen an old bankruptcy, and there's a few reasons for that. One is bankruptcy attorneys back then, a few years ago, they did not know there was anything you could do with private student loans, so they didn't touch them. They just told folks, I can't help you with your student loans. There was a lot of disinformation. A lot of people thought their loans actually were discharged or something like that. So there's all kinds of missed opportunities to try to get rid of student loans. If we reopen a case, one of the nice things is it doesn't matter what our clients are making right now. Income-wise is not relevant. And also it doesn't hurt their credit. It's not a new bankruptcy. It's just reopen the old one to show that these loans were in fact not a qualified educational loan, or they didn't meet some other requirement that is, you know, required to be non-dischargeable. So we find some of our best successes are in reopening cases.
Yeah, and in fact, we're currently going through our database of past bankruptcy clients and compiling a list to reach out to, because, you know, I've noticed that there's so many people in the past that had private student loans, and you're absolutely right. It felt like it was a dead end. There was nothing that we can do to help them, and I'm so gratified now that we've been able to meet with you and partner with you, because there is help, and I'm really excited about that.
And
Go ahead.
And I used to be one of those attorneys too. You know, back in the day, I also didn't think you could do this. So it was something that we didn't do either before 2015.
Right.
It's a relatively new.
So great. And I appreciate your time so much, and want to wish you a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. I know this year is going to be different for a lot of us, and you know, getting through to 2021 and Thanksgiving and next year, I think is going to be a lot for us to celebrate. And happy Thanksgiving to all of our clients and all the wonderful people that we're helping. And Christy, thank you so much. If people have questions, thank you. You can check out our website at millerlaw.com, or give us a call at 414-875-3816. We can get you in for a consultation, certainly before the end of the year and before you get those 2020 taxes filed, which is a very important thing to do. But wish everyone happy Thanksgiving, and take care. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.